So, hi everyone, I'm Rahul Talreja. I'm the product manager for IoT applications. Today, I will be showcasing you what new innovation we have been doing in the application enablement. And as usual, I will be taking you through today around kind of giving a live demo of all the innovations we have been doing. So the first innovation we have been working upon is a unified property library. So as of today, the property library in Cumulocity exists in multiple applications. So we have a property library in administration where you can define properties for your inventory, alarm, events, and as well as you have a second property library in Digital Twin Manager where you define the properties for assets. So until today, we have been kind of improving our Digital Twin Manager offering where we have improved a lot on the property library in Digital Twin Manager. In one of the upcoming releases, we are going to enhance the property library and provide a unified property library where you can define all the static metadata you would like to define for all your assets, devices, alarms, or any managed object within Cumulocity. So this is currently in private preview and will be available in the coming months. This will allow you to define all the properties at a single place, manage all of them at a single section, and then use them in different applications, for an example, in cockpit, in device management, or even in digital twin manager. The second enhancement. So in the last release, you would have heard about we introducing certain new APIs in private preview. So we have been working on the digital twin APIs in the last few quarters. We have introduced new APIs known as definitions API and asset API. And in this release, we have introduced a new plugin. So if you open your extension section in administration, you will be able to see the two new plugins we have added in the last quarter. So you will notice the first plugin is Open API Documentation, which you can install in any of your Digital Twin Manager application. And once you install this, you will be able to experience the APIs directly into the your DTM application. So these consist of both the APIs. So this is the assets API, which allows you to fetch, let's say, retrieve, update, or delete any of your assets. And similarly, you have an API to also fetch all the definitions. So the property library, which we just noticed, utilizes these definitions API. You can define definitions for alarms, events, or any measurement or any other managed object which we have in Cumulocity. So you can use APIs for them, and then they directly appear in the property library. Another plugin which we have introduced in the last quarter is the data points plugin. So I had provided a very short demo of this functionality in the last webinar, and now we have added this as a plugin into our DTM plugins offering. The data points plugin allows you to link your device data points to assets. So customers utilized a digital twin manager to define their whole asset hierarchies and then link the relevant devices. But along with this, now you can also link the relevant data points to the asset hierarchy. So for an example, if you have a case where you have your customers, which has a factory hierarchy, then a production line, and then a vacuum chamber, now you can use this data point template to link the relevant data points on each hierarchy level. So you can kind of use this link button and then kind of navigate to the right device in the hierarchy, and then use that as an option to link the relevant data point directly over here. This allows you to define the expected metadata on the asset. So now when we kind of utilize this data into AI Agent Manager, you will be able to define what are the possible data points which this asset hierarchy will have, and what's the source of that. A quick note over here, both these functionalities, the API documentation and this data point selector, both the plugins are available, but both of these utilize the APIs, which is the definitions API and assets API, and both of those APIs are currently in preview. If you would like to try these APIs, do let us know. We would be happy to extend you the preview version of that. As a one hint, in the coming quarter, we will be utilizing this metadata to help you bring data on the asset. So once you create a hierarchy and define the linked data points, you will also be able to kind of bring this data directly on the asset, which will then enable dashboards on the assets. Right. Now moving on to the other enhancements. Okay. One enhancement which we have done yeah. One enhancement which we have done in the last quarter is also improving the search. Previously, we used to have a full text search, meaning if you search a device name, that would also search in the descriptions of the devices, all external IDs and everything, which meant that even if you, when you were searching a very, let's say, a specific text, if it was part of the description or any other text in the other manage object or the devices, it used to come up over here. In the last release, we have replaced this full text search with a wildcard search. Now, when you type any single word, uh, it adds a wildcard against each word you are typing, and then it brings out the right result. This will mean that you get the results faster, and you only get the meaningful results. So this will only search into the name of the manage object. So now, if you used to search based on the external IDs or the descriptions, they may not work. In case if you would like to revert to the old kind of mechanism, you can still use a feature flag to disable the new search and enable the older one. One another enhancement which we have done in the new search is we have made it context aware. So now, if you are already into one of the asset, you can also very specifically highlight that you would like to make the search within the context of that asset itself. Uh, so this search is already live. You can experience this on your tenants over the CD. One new upcoming enhancement in the coming versions would be improved global time context. So you would have noticed that in the last few quarters, we have been improving our global time context functionality. The global time context functionality helps you to provide a single time context to all the widgets you have on the platform. So this is a preview version of the new functionality where we have improved the global time context and added few new functionalities. So let's take a look at the functionalities first. So now the global time context will have two separate mode. One would be the live mode and one would be the historical mode. In the live mode, you can utilize the existing pre-configured let's say time selections which are already available in the current one as well, but as well as you can now also define a custom time range and save this in the dashboard configuration. So for an example, if I would like the dashboard to always open up to consist data from 12 a.m. to now, I will simply set up the time over here and apply. So this is a rolling time context. So whenever I open this dashboard, this always open up exactly the same view. So if I open it up, let's say at 1 p.m., it will open from let's say like 12 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then if I open it at 2 p.m., so it keeps rolling on its own. And now we have introduced a new option to save this in the dashboard configuration. So this will now allow you to save the configuration in the dashboard so that when your customers open this dashboard, they always use this time context which we have saved over there. So now, like say, if I refresh this thing, you will always come up on this time. So now after 1 hour, I'm opening this one, it still starts from 12 a.m. to let's say 5 p.m. It also has a dedicated history mode. So if you are trying to explore the data, which is, let's say, in past, you can then simply utilize this over here. And similarly, as of the live mode, you can also save this. So for an example, if you always want to see data of last 1 week and not of today, you can still set that up and save this in the dashboard configuration. Now you can also see the same is also reflecting in the widget. So that's a big announcement you are now having, that previously these settings used to be in the widget configuration, but now you can see that these settings are available on the widget screen itself. So now I can simply unlink the time context to a specific widget and a time window appears over here. I can also delink this to the automatic refresh window. So now all the widgets get a same refresh window, and then you can use this to kind of adjust the let's say refresh window for each and every widget, or either you do it on the global level. So now if you see, if I try to change the time window on one of the widget, because all the data points are linked to the global time context, all the widgets are getting updated. Let me go and go to last day. So you can see that when I do this, all the widgets are getting updated simultaneously. So this makes it very easy to find the relevant data in the dashboard, because when you are trying to analyze data in the one widget, the others also get updated at the very same time. So you will notice this functionality in one of the upcoming releases in the next month. Yeah. Now coming back to our AI enhancements. So you would have noticed that we had introduced AI Agent Manager in one of the last webinars. So we had highlighted that you can now create as many as AI agents you want, and then utilize them at a different sections. So for an example, we have an AI agent over here, which helps our users to generate HTML widgets. So users can kind of create their own AI agents, like as this is one of the example, and define the required specific prompts for this one. So for an example, in this prompt, we have specifically highlighted to the to the AI that you have to analyze the request, use these APIs, you have to create a component in a specific phase. So you can define the prompt for, let's say, for your use case, and then utilize them. The AI Agent Manager also allows you to define the tools which this can access. So you can restrict the access of this AI agent to a specific toolings only. So if you, let's say, want it to only analyze alarms, you can restrict the access and only provide access to the alarms. Um, Local provider. So one new enhancement we have done is the introduction of the local provider. So as of now, you can see that users can configure any of their provider in the section. So you can define, let's say, you can use OpenAI, you can use Azure, you can use DeepSeek, or you can use any of kind of LLM of your own choice. But along with this, if you would like to change the, let's say, provider for one of the agent, that you can also do now in the local provider. You can use this for multiple use cases. Like for an example, if you would like to kind of create a report, or let's say if you would like to analyze the alarms of last month, so you can define very specific AI agents for your system. Today, I'll be giving you a demo of the HTML AI agent. One kind of, let's say, a very interesting functionality over here is configuring the MCP servers. So if you are having your own ERP systems, CRM systems, and they have functionality of MCP, you can also add the relevant MCP server over here. So when you kind of try to configure your AI agent, you can also provide it access to the relevant system, and then it can fetch data from both Cumulocity and as well as the CRM or ERP system. Let's see a very short demo of how this works. So now we have a AI agent for generating HTML widget. So I already have a few examples over here. So all these widgets in this screen are generated using this HTML widget. This HTML widget utilizes a preview feature. So we have a new improved HTML widget, so which was migrated from Angular to AngularJS to Angular, and now there is an enhancement in that widget that you can use the AI functionalities over there. So you can see the AI code assistance appears over here as a tab. For utilizing this, I would then switch on the developer mode and then go to AI code assistant. Here I can give a specific prompt to the AI. For an example, help me creating a device status widget. This will analyze all the devices within this hierarchy and then try to generate a widget out of this. One new enhancement we have done in the last few weeks is kind of adding a support for streaming. So now, as in when the AI is sending a request, you can see the query in the real time, that how, like, which tool it is calling. So for an example, in this case, it went ahead and got utilized the digital twin MCP server to get all the assets, and then it went through and kept calling all the assets, and then it analyzed that data, and then it went to call the specific manage object from the inventory, calling all the devices in the inventory, because we asked is to generate a device status widget. So this is how it will then kind of analyze and go through all the list, and then to create a widget, and then finally it will generate a widget over here. So you can see all these steps happening over here, so that you can also debug it better. So in case if it is not calling the right, let's say, information from the APIs, you can then at least kind of modify the prompt and use that again. So now you can see on the right-hand side, it had generated all the kind of the required widget and utilize all the devices over there. In case if you want to make it a, let's say, change, let's say, add and option to export these things in CSV, it will now go and kind of make an update to this one. Once it does the update, you can also revert to the older one. So you can kind of choose the option, and then you can, once it appears over here, you can also revert back to the older version. So in case if the prompt was wrong, or if AI kind of did a blunder, you can also go back to the older one and restart with a new prompt. One new important enhancement which we have done in the last quarter is also Cumulocity Cortex. So you notice that we have been trying to improve all the, let's say, functionalities, fundamental capabilities, where you can use them to, let's say, create relevant content for your assets. Simultaneously, we are trying to utilize this context in different applications, let's say Cockpit, Digital Twin Manager, Device Management, and for an example, we are trying to also utilize this in the AI Agent Manager. And now we would also like to, let's say, help our customers to use these functionalities in their own applications. So for that purpose, we have a Cumulocity Codex available. So whenever we are developing any features, we kind of try to develop them in a way that we create it as form of components. So if you are developing a widget, we try to see how many, let's say, components are required there. If it's existing, we reuse them. If not, then we contribute new components. So all those things comes to Codex. So you can see that we have been contributing all the possible components we are using in our UI applications over here. So for an example, you can see that the drop area, which we utilize at different sections, is already available here as a component. And similarly, when you create your own UI applications or UI widgets, you can make use of these components. And as in one experiment which we are doing internally, that we were also trying to utilize the exact same components with our AI HTML generator. So AI will have the proper context that all these components exist, and then it can generate a better widget out of it. That brings me to the end of my part of the presentation.